Okay, thank you everyone for joining us. I'm Alana Branta. I'm the Deputy Chief with Services to End and Prevent Homelessness within HHS, and we administer the COVID Rent Relief Program among many other services and programs that we offer. I want to thank my colleagues at DHCA, Frank Demeray here with us today, and Lorraine Driscoll running all of our background for making this available for us for the connection with the landlord property manager community here. Just to give you an overview of today, I am going to go through a fairly brief overview of our round 4 of the COVID rent relief program. I will then turn it over to my colleague here, Ogul Shands, to talk about some of our utility assistance programs. And then we will work on answering questions. As this is a webinar format, we do ask that any questions that you have, that you put them in the Q&A section. In case anyone needs a refresher, if you kind of toggle over the bottom of your screen generally, you can see a button for Q&A and put those in there. And we will work to answer as many of those questions as possible as we can during this time. So with that, give me 1 second while I share my screen and we're going to get right into it. Okay. Can I get just a quick thumbs up from my panelists? Are you seeing the slideshow? Yes, I see a smile, so I'm going to take that as yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, I see other thumbs up coming through. Thank you so much, people. Okay, so now we just need to go to the next slide. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to just give a little bit of an overview of where we are with COVID rent relief round 4. Some specific information that I want you as the landlord, property manager, property owner community to know. And then, as I said, we'll turn it over and I will answer questions after. So our round 4, our eligibility is primarily the same as in the previous rounds. The household does still need to have a COVID-related financial hardship. I want to be very clear that's a financial hardship. It is not necessarily a specific loss of income today. And that feeds into that the AMI is still capped at 50% of area median income or below. Again, this can be income that is documented through their 2020 taxes, their 2021 taxes, current previous 30 days of income. Additionally, also, we are going to we are hoping to use more this round, what's called categorical determination. So we will look at if the household has been approved for any means tested program since January 1 of 2020, that is an income-based program that certifies their income at the point of that determination being 50% of AMI or below, we will count that. So if any of your tenants have received Office of Home Energy Assistance programs, TANF, TCA, food stamp, SNAP benefits, and they have that determination letter from at any point, or for some of you as low-income housing tax credit properties, or any other rental, if you have other rental conditions on your units and have certified their income, we can accept that certification also. County residents since at least August of 2021, they do not need to have been at your property since then, but they do need to be able to demonstrate residency in the county since at least that point. That they do have a rent responsibility with this community, and mostly will be formal, whether there is still an active lease or not. Is not a concern, but at one point there was a lease or some informal commitment to paying rent and that rent obligation. A little bit different this time, we are looking for eligibility. The household does need to be behind at least 2 months of their rent payment. Last round, if you remember, it was a flat $1,000. So now it is 2 months of their rent payment. So whether they owe you $1,400 a month or they owe you $2,000 a month, it would just be double that. Okay, so what assistance is available? In this round, we are able to provide assistance for arrears only. We are not able to provide prospective rent. The grant will be the lesser of either up to 18 months of assistance from the current round, from round 4, and any months of assistance they received in round 3. So if you have a tenant who already received 15 months of assistance from us, at most they would be eligible for 3 months of additional arrearage assistance. If a household did not apply for round 3 and they're up to 18 months behind, we would be able to provide that assistance here. And then up to $12,000 in COVID-related rental assistance, and that does include previous rounds. And the state assisted housing program, the program HOC ran back, I guess, late 2020, I believe it was. I do want to note, though, that for households with income of 30% of AMI or below, we do have additional funds available. They will not be subject to that $12,000 cap. And we are able to help those families specifically with up to $2,000 towards utility arrears. And so that can be utilities that are billed directly through the property and show on your ledger that you have with them, or we can make payments directly to the utility companies for them. Really important note, applications are not processed on first come, first serve. We do take into account the household's vulnerability. We look at income, eviction status, geographic location. And so, it is not, please don't rush to get stuff in and get it in incomplete. We'd rather you take a little bit of time and make sure you're getting in as complete of an application as possible. I do also want to note our funds are limited. We know the extent of the COVID impact within our community is deep and severe. And we will do our best to provide assistance to as many families as possible, but we are not able to guarantee funding to all households. How to apply. So this is a drop more focused on tenant side, and I'll highlight for you for the landlord side. So first, really important to note, our application portal is scheduled to close on June 30th. So you do want to get in your applications prior to June 30th for consideration. A tenant, highlighting different this time than last time, is our application portal accepts both tenant and landlord applications again. But on the landlord application side, you are able to submit all of the supporting documentation for your tenant. So both applications are not needed, it's one or the other. What is important to note, though, is that it is one application per registered account. So please don't collect information from one tenant, submit an application. You will then be locked out. You want to collect from as many of your tenants as you believe to be eligible or who want your support in completing that application, and then submit that all as a one package. So what we have encouraged tenants, as you can see, is that they can either complete that application on their own. We encourage them to submit that, to work with you as their landlord, property manager, to work with them on completing that application. They can reach out to us if they do not want to work with you and cannot complete it on their own. Any of our nonprofit partners can help them complete the application, or if they call 311, we can schedule an appointment for them to come into our office. Overview of the documents you will need to collect from your tenant. There is a tenant income and eligibility certification form. It's available on our website, or when you register an account, you'll see it on the menu bar on the side there. That needs to be done for each household. We need photo IDs of all household members 18 plus. That does not need to be a current Maryland driver's license. It just needs to be a photo ID. It can be expired too if what they have is an expired passport from the US or from another country. We need any supporting income documentation. So whether that's their tax returns, the letter from an employer, pay stubs, whatever they are using to support that income determination. We need that information. Proof of residency. So if their photo ID does not demonstrate, or if their tax return does not demonstrate county residency since at least August of 2021, we would need some alternative proof of residency. That could be a bank statement, utility bill, anything dated to that August 2021 or earlier timeframe. We're going to look for all that rent information, the ledger, is there a lease, any of that documentation. And then if you are submitting an application on behalf of your tenant, there is a tenant affidavit available. It's also on our website and in the application portal. That specifically is the tenant signing and committing and understanding that this is being submitted on their behalf, that they understand what request they're asking for, that their information is true and accurate. And so we do need that also. I do just want to highlight, as you see our websites on the bottom of each of these slides, there's a document checklist, FAQs, flyers in all of the top 7 languages spoken in the county available on our website, and it has all of this information and even more detail there. Okay, as I mentioned briefly, I want to go into a little bit more. An email address is required to complete an application, and it is 1 email address per an account, and only 1 application can be submitted per an account. So again, as a property, please be thoughtful in terms of making sure that your application is fully ready to submit. You have all of the tenants that you are hoping to put in at the time of submitting that. If you submit it and you have a tenant come to you afterwards, they would need to register an account themselves, or you would need to register an alternative account to submit their material in with that. You also need to have access to this email account. When you go to register for an account, it will send you an email to create your password, and so you do need to be able to access that email to create your password. The applications will save automatically, so please don't worry if you want to start it, get some of your background information in terms of the property payment information, etc. You can put it in. If you want to start to load up your tenant information in and come back to it, later, just don't hit submit until once you're really ready to hit submit. And then again, we only need a landlord or a tenant application. We do not need both this round. So if your tenant already shows you, hey, I applied, don't worry about it, we got them covered. And conversely, if you've applied for them, they do not need to submit another one also. Okay, a couple of just specific landlords. So again, 1 application per an email address. We make our payments through landlords that are registered in the county CVRS system. That's their central vendor registration system that the county uses. Make sure you have your CVRS registration complete, that you have the property name that as registered in CVRS. I know many have what a DBA, a doing business as kind of name, right? Like you might be 123 Main Street Apartments, but your CVRS name might be Main Street Lot 27, just as an example. And so it's important, we want to make sure that the payment goes to you and gets to the right place, and we want to do that as expeditiously as possible. So to the extent that you can help us make sure we match up that CVRS registration. CVRS registration does take a couple days to process. So if you are not a registered vendor with the county, please make sure to start that process now. If you need to change your registration, HHS does not actually administer any of CVRS. So I encourage you to work directly with CVRS or county finance if there's anything you need to change there. Make sure you have all your documents ready. From a landlord side, we do ask for some sort of proof of ownership management agreement, something documenting that you have the right to be speaking on behalf of this property. And then all of the tenant supporting documentation, and you will need head of household demographic information. So race, ethnicity, gender, if they're willing to disclose it. There, of course, is an option, prefer not to say, and date of births. UEI number, if you don't know it, if you don't have one, put in a 0. It will ask you for that. This is for, this replaces the DUNS number, and it is something that we are required to report to Treasury if we make payments in excess of $30,000 to any individual landlord, cumulative payments in excess of $30,000 to one individual landlord, and they do ask us for this information. So it just helps us, if you have one, it helps us with our reporting purposes. And as a reminder, there is terms for using these funds, for accepting these funds, and we expect those terms to be honored and complied with. I will acknowledge we have had some challenges. I thank those of you who, when we have called up and reminded you, hey, you're not allowed to be filing for eviction now, you have stopped those eviction proceedings immediately. Thank you for that. But we don't want to have to chase after you. So as a reminder, Our program requires that you are canceling all existing eviction actions, and this includes failure to pay rent and tenant holding over. You cannot be filing tenant holding over while you're receiving these or applying and receiving these funds. The only eviction actions allowed during this time would be if there's a breach of lease for a safety reason at the property. You are not initiating any new eviction actions for at least 30 days after our assistance period. So if we catch someone up and pay rent through May of 2022, you are therefore committing that you are not filing any new eviction actions prior to July 1 of 2022. If the individual's lease has expired, so if they're on a month-to-month lease or their lease is about to be expiring, you are required to offer them a 90-day lease extension. They do not need to take that up, but you are required to offer it. And you are committing to waiving all legal and late fees that you have put on their ledger. And so those should be stricken from that. And I do know there is also county legislation that you do have to offer them provide them with the documentation if they want to file for a removal of those fees also. But even without that filing, by working with us in this program, you are agreeing to waive all of those. So, next steps is check out all the frequently asked questions. There is a specific landlord frequently asked questions also, but I highly encourage each of you to read the tenant one also, so you see what we're sharing with them on that side. The document checklists, again, tenant focused, are available on the program website. If you have technical questions, you're having any issues completing the application, you have a specific question pertinent to one of your residents or a unique situation, please email us at hss@montgomerycountymd.gov. We do have people responding to emails every day. We will not be able to give you an estimated processing time. So please save all of us the time. Don't ask us. We are getting to the applications as quickly as possible. We will get through all of them. We do verify information. So please make sure to be responsive when we reach out to you. Make sure your tenant knows and the information you have given us for your tenant, the contact information you've provided is accurate, because we do need to talk to the tenant and we will reach out to you to confirm everything. We will not award grants based on just submitted information. We do check in with individuals. So please make sure that you are responsive to us when we reach out. And then I'm going to turn it over to Olga in just a second to talk specifically about energy assistance, but I do just want to remind everyone we have a full continuum of services available through HHS. And whether that's the housing stabilization, if you do have someone who is not eligible for this assistance and is facing an eviction, or you have a resident that you're trying to accept for move-in, is coming from a harder situation and maybe needs a little help with security deposit, first month's rent, we do have programs. If you have a family, or someone who is on the verge of homelessness, we can work with them to try to divert them out of that situation. Moving costs, to help someone get set up. If you have a household who experiences a loss of a loved one, we can help with burial assistance. And then, HHS is still doing COVID testing, vaccines. Boosters were just authorized for our 5 to 11-year-olds, a plethora of mental health resources and food access throughout the county. So we do encourage, as you, especially working with tenants who may be eligible for COVID rent relief, there probably are eligible for other resources and services from the county too, and helping them to get connected with us is greatly appreciated. So let me stop sharing for a moment. I'm going to turn it over to Olga, and I continue to encourage you, please, if you can put your questions in the Q&A. I see there's stuff going in the chat. I will try to review it too, but it's since there's limited of us, it's going to be a little bit easier for us if you can keep it in one section. So again, I'll stop sharing and turn it over to Olga.
Thank you, Alana. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. My name is Olga Shams, and I am a lead worker and outreach coordinator for the Office of Home and Energy Program with Montgomery County. Our office is located in Rockville, Maryland. And today I will share with you about two of our main programs that we currently run in. This is utility program and also water program that we just picked up and begun to administer. So I'm going to share a screen with you just so that would be easier to follow. Let's see. Okay. All right, so can you all see my screen, I guess, right? Okay. Okay, our energy assistance program is the program that helps low-income residents of Montgomery County to make their utility bills affordable. The bills that I'm talking about is energy and heating assistance. And any customers have electric through Potomac Edison, Pepco, BGE, or heating assistance through Washington Gas. We help customers with those bills. So we can't pay the remainder of the bill, but we have various grants that help to cover most of the balances when customers come through the door. So our grants, we have four more main grants. First is Maryland Energy Assistance Program, that stands for MEEP. The second one is Electric Universal Service Program, EUSP. Those are our two main grants that help with electric and heating part. Anyone who have utility companies can apply for those and receive funding. Our program runs on a yearly basis. It starts on July 1st and ends on the following year at the end of June. Customer can only be eligible to receive grant once a year. And also, if they have any balances up to $2,000 or more, they can still apply for the other two grants, which we also have available for them. This is arrears assistance with electric and gas. So if you have customers that have balances of more than $1,000, $2,000, they can qualify, and they actually have not applied for this grant for the last 5 years. They can be eligible to receive this assistance with our program. For arrears, you have to be, your balance has to be between $300 up to $2,000. So we can pay up to $2,000 for any of this assistance. So it's going to be either electric arrears or gas arrears. In addition, they can also qualify for MEEP and USB, depending on what provider they have. We also help with utility that are about to be disconnected. So for instance, if you have a customer that have disconnect notices, either for Washington Gas or electric company, BGE or Potomac Edison, Pepco, the customer can bring their utility notice for disconnection and also completed application. We can place 55-day hold on the account to prevent disconnection of the utilities. While we have a hold, we can still look at the application, review and process the application while there's a hold on the account. But that hold prevents them from being disconnected. So they can utilize that service. This is part of our program as well. We help for customers who reside in Montgomery County and have services through gas and electric. Now, as far as eligibility, this program year, we actually have two income eligibility grids that is kind of flexible for those people who are on fixed income And if you see on the right-hand side, we have seniors and people over 67 years old in a household, and the income for those is a little bit more flexible than for the people who don't have members in a household of 67 years old of age or older. So if the income that we actually look at is 30 days before the application date. So when client fills out an application and signs the date on the application, we'll look at the income 30 days prior that sign date. And we'll look at the how many household resides in a family. And the income is one of the main things that we look at, but we also take applications from renters or homeowners. So please encourage your clients who rent houses or also own houses. We encourage everybody to apply as long as they qualify and meet our income guidelines. The other thing I wanted to say is that part of our programs, besides that we actually help with these 4 grants, we also offer assistance and refer customers for weatherization services and energy efficiency services. We refer those customers to Department of Housing and Community Partnership. So they have to first apply with us for the energy assistance program for any of these grants that I just mentioned. So customers can apply various ways for our programs. We have our offices open every day from 8:30 to 4:30, so they can actually walk in to our building and apply in person. We're located at 1301 Picard Drive, 4th floor, Rockville, Maryland. You can also call us at 240-777-4050. Our phone lines are open from 8:30 to 4:30. They can fax the application, they can apply online, they can mail the application. I also want to draw your attention that we have an email address here. It's on your screen. So please, if you have any questions, we are really open to any questions, any clarifications that you need. You can email us for either you want to email us application or just a question. We will respond, and we will take your application via email as well. So this is we operate, we work every day. And we will be able to help with any kind of issues that you have, try to resolve disconnection if we can, make a commitment. If we can't, we will make a referral to other agencies that are in Montgomery County. So if you have any questions, please either, like I said, email us, or you can put the question in the chat. So the second program I just wanted to share with you is out of water assistance. It's LIWAP, short for LIWAP, is Low-Income Household Water Assistance Program. This is new to us. State has asked us to administer this program. We're probably going to administer this program through the end of this year, maybe longer, we don't know yet.
Olga?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think, did you mean to switch to an overview slide of LIWAP?
No, I actually wanted to keep this. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
sorry.
Yeah. So I'm gonna. I'm actually, Ilana, I do not have any slide for LiveUp right now. We have not developed this yet. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm just gonna keep this information here. This is our information for our office energy assistance program. So just if you want to record where we're located, because I'm gonna right now talk a little bit about water and what basically what the program is, but the information how to apply, where we're located, and how we take applications is pretty much the same. So for water and energy assistance, you can apply it online again. You can send your applications via email. You can call us, the same phone number. You can call us and ask questions. You can come in person again on the 4th floor to just check and apply also for water. So all information is identical. The only difference is the application. We have two different applications for water and energy. Although for water application, if person already applied for energy, they can also apply for OHAP. And again, I want to mention, just like Alana mentioned before, for COVID relief, we also, for water, we also have categorical eligibility for water. So for example, if you have customers who already applied and got approved for programs like SNAP, food stamps, other programs, they will be qualified for water as well. So they can submit an application for water, will be approved. Now for eligibility program for water, I just want to say that a person will have to have arrears between 100 and 2,000. But $100 is a minimum they would have to qualify. There will be a lot of different probably questions you'll have as far as payments, where that goes to. So again, the information is on the screen. If you have specific questions and specific properties, because I don't want to like spend a lot of time, it's really specific information for specific scenarios. So I just wanted to kind of give you general information that we are taking currently water applications. We are really flexible of how customer can apply. They can submit one application where water in OHAP on one application. They can do it online, they can do it in person. They can submit two different applications. They can even apply for OHAP, approved for OHAP, and then submit another application for water later on. So it's really, it really depends on the situation. Now, we also, with water program, as far as eligibility, we look at income, we look at the person residing in the house. So person has to reside in the house. The bill, the water bill does not need to be in customer's name. And the benefits will be paid directly to the water supplier, not to the landlord or the customer. So those are kind of the main things I wanted to explain. And I guess if you have any specific questions, again, please reach out. We will help and address your questions.
Okay, thank you. I have been furiously answering the questions that have been coming in to the Q&A so far. There are some themes, so I just want to recover a couple of items. It is a new portal, so you're not just going and amending a previous application, you are starting a new application and submitting it in. Again, once you hit submit, you cannot make any changes to that application for rent relief. So please do not hit submit until you are ready, feel confident that this is all you are able to include at this point in the application. You can't come back to it the next day and say, oh, let me now put in all of the leases, I didn't add them in before. We will review the applications. We do give the tenant and the landlord an opportunity to supply any missing documentation, but that's where it does get back to. We need you to be responsive to us. So you will have an opportunity, but we do not keep applications open indefinitely, waiting for return of material that was missing the first time around. So, please double, triple check that you have submitted every possible thing that you are ready to upload, that you have put it in. It will expedite the process on the back end. If we're not, trying to chase you down to find a missing ledger or, a missing tenant certification form, etc. If you already hit submit, again, you can't change that. That means you cannot add additional tenants to it. You cannot add additional documentation. If you have a tenant, when I have talked already with a couple of landlords, what I have encouraged is kind of giving working with your tenants on an internal deadline of when you are planning to submit your materials by. If a tenant misses that internal deadline, then they either need to complete a tenant application on their own. They can work with one of our nonprofit partners to get help completing that application, or they can contact 311 to get an appointment at one of our offices to help them complete that application. But you will not be able to reopen your application each time you have a tenant come in. So hold on, I think, okay, just a logistical one. DHCA will be posting the webinar. So I know there's a number of people asking questions around that. I want to just, okay, I just want to, the other thing I want to reiterate is it's tenant or landlord application this time. It is not both applications. So again, tenant or landlord, if your tenant is telling you that they already submitted an application, you do not need to submit another one. It will not show on your account that they submitted, but they will get an email confirmation that they have submitted that if you want to ask for a copy to see that. And if you've applied for them, please do not have them apply again. It is not going to expedite anything. It will just slow us down. If they, and especially, I think there was a question about having them apply if you miss documentation. No, we will get that from you when we process your application. Okay, so again, it's one or the other, tenant or landlord application. You do not both, we are not asking for both parties to submit, and yes, that is different from the previous round. Okay, and okay, that I think covered, I think, the stuff I was seeing in the Q&A. I will try to go through the chat now. It's a lot harder to go through a chat, so if you have additional questions, please do put them in the Q&A. Okay, so if someone already received funds, so anyone is eligible to apply again, but there is a limit on the assistance that we are able to provide. So if an individual, for round 4, an eligible household is eligible for the lesser of up to 18 months of assistance, or $12,000 if their income is determined to be between 31 to 50% of area median income. So the most we were giving in the previous round was, and the 18 months I should specify again, is between the previous round 3, and our current round 4. At the most we were giving in the previous round was 15 months of assistance. So if you do have someone who received the maximum benefit in the previous round, from a month's standpoint, at most they would be able to receive 3 months of arrears from the current round. The caveat with that also is there is the financial limit. So the limit is up to $12,000 for assistance, and that is COVID-related rental assistance. It is not just county CRRP assistance. So if they received state-assisted housing funds to pay that rent, if they've received any previous COVID rent relief funds, there was the program, the rental assistance program HOC ran, any of that, it would be a not to exceed $12,000. So if their income, again, is certified to be between 31 to 50% of area median income, if their income is certified as less, we do have additional funds available, but we are still capped. No matter how much in funds we have available, we are still capped by that 18 months of assistance. So there are going to be some households that no matter, unfortunately, where their income is, at most we will be able to provide 3 months additional arrear assistance. Okay, I see there's a couple of things in the chat, I think, about some tenants. So yeah, what you will see similar to the portal is similar, but not exactly as before. One big thing I forgot to mention is there is a instructional video on the website. You can watch a completion of an application, both on the tenant side and the landlord side. You can see what those both look like. So I highly encourage you to watch one of those prior to submitting your application. You might even watch it prior to even starting so that you again, have another review of what's going to be asked for you. So you will have a place to enter as many tenants as you have that you are entering. So you might just have one tenant that you're applying on behalf of. You might have 15 or 20, and you can provide each of their supporting documentation there. Again, once you put it in, you can't go back in, but you can put in multiple tenant information, and you'll see you'll put in kind of an overview of the tenant, and then each tenant will have a line, and there'll be action items that you can take next to each line to provide that information there. And if you do that, they do not need to put in their own application. You will put in everything on their behalf. And yes, if your tenant is not giving you the information and you do not want to therefore then include them in your application, they would need to complete an application on their own. And I want to, as I'm scrolling through the chat, thank Frank for putting in. There is the FAQs, as I mentioned, there are the training videos, document checklists. There's a ton of information on our site, and I think most of these will be covered in there. The proof of ownership, I see that's coming up a couple of places, or property deed or proof of ownership. What we're really looking for there is that you, as the landlord applicant, or you're representing the landlord applicant, that you have the right, or you have the ability to be speaking on behalf of this property. So for a single family home, it's kind of simple, right? Like you can go into real property search and you can show that Alana Branda owns 123 Main Street. I understand for multifamily properties that's a little bit different, but what we're trying to make that connection to is that you have the authority, and as you are representing yourself as the authority to speak on behalf of the property, that you have that. So it may be incorporation documents that you're listed on. It may be a management agreement between the owner and yourself to operate the property. We will try to be as flexible as we can with that, but that's the core, that we're looking for something that just ties you to be speaking on behalf of that property. And for the tenant side, right, when we're talking about property documentation for the tenant, that would be the lease sign or etc. Okay. Okay, I think I've answered some of these. So I'm trying to. Okay. Applications submitted are submitted. If you need technical assistance with specific questions around that, you can reach out to us via email. As I noted, it is a different application system, so please, you do need to register again. And reiterating again, our portal is only open through June 30th. So any applications you are intending to submit must be in by June 30th before we close. And so you have between now until then to work with your tenants. Okay, there's someone about asking email addresses changing or adding new email addresses. Again, this is what it is. It is one email per a registered account. We encourage you to think about, if you have a portfolio with multiple properties in it, to consider you're making an account maybe per a property, and that property, when you believe your application is as complete as it will be, that you will then hit submit. Again, the application does save automatically. So if you are waiting on some documentation for a tenant, or you're waiting to see, to try to connect with a tenant over any information that you need, you can just leave it parked there. When you log into your account, you'll be able to pick up and to continue on. But once you hit submit, if a tenant does want to complete an application, they would need to do that on their own. There is a question, I think Olga answered this, but the program components for the water bill, So that is on our website. Olga, do you want to put in, I don't know if you did already.
I can speak to that. Actually, I saw that Ilana should be quick. So yes, it's water and wastewater, two things. So they can qualify for two different grants. So when they apply, they can receive pretty much two different grants, water and wastewater. So that's probably the simple answer I can give.
Yeah, and I was going to ask Olga, if you want to, maybe I'm answering some of these other ones. On the HHS website, when you go to utility assistance, it does have all of the water program information there. It's not maybe in the prettiest format, but it is there. So if you want to drop that link in the chat,
Okay.
that might help answer some of those questions too.
Yep.
Okay, you upload all residents at once, correct? Sorry, I am trying to follow that. It's flying in, which is why I wanted to leave as much time as I did for questions. So just bear with me as, okay. Okay, in terms of a tenant with limited English and the document checklist, you know, all the materials are available in the top 7 languages. All of our caseworkers have full access to the language line and phone interpretation services. So we will do our best to work with someone where they are. If you have specific questions about a previous application, I'd encourage you to reach out to the caseworker that you were working with previously. I will note, if a tenant does an application themselves, there is a place in that tenant application for them to list a secondary contact. So if they are working with a nonprofit partner, or maybe they have someone who helps them in whatever capacity, there is an opportunity for them to provide us with that person's contact information. So I think these are answered, but I'm losing track of some of this, so forgive me if I'm repeating things. Hopefully it's just reinforcing the information anyway. But you will, again, once you put in a tenant, they will show up in the table below, and you will have action buttons available on the side there to complete detailed information about the tenant, including uploading their pertinent documentation to each tenant record. Okay. Yes, this program is specific for COVID related, for households that experience COVID financial hardships specifically. These funds are coming from Treasury's Emergency Rental Assistance Program. You can submit an application. If you don't think your tenant did an application correctly or didn't put it in, you can, but honestly, it's going to make the work harder for us in the long run. If the tenant included your information in the application, we will contact both sides. Again, for the property, you don't actually need the deed. What we are looking for is documentation that you have the authority and the right to be speaking on behalf of that property. So it's something pertaining to the ownership, to the legality of you being the representative for that property. So it can be that management agreement, it can be incorporation documents, it could be if there's something from a bank in terms of I'm just brainstorming out loud here, right? But you might have something in terms of some of your other business documents, but we are looking to tie you as the person completing the landlord property owner application to having the authority to speak on behalf of the property, to make the commitments to the terms and conditions of the program on behalf of the property, and to accept the payment on behalf of the property. Okay, so again, the question is coming up, if someone has already received $12,000 prior, will they be entitled to additional assistance? If their income is certified between 31 to 50%, they will not be entitled to additional assistance. However, I say that with the caveat on the note that income determination is tricky, right? as noted, we can look at income in a variety of different ways, whether that's 2020 taxes, 2021 taxes, previous 30 days, the categorical determination. So if a resident believes that they are eligible for more, or if you believe based on their income determination, or what you believe is their income determination that they're eligible for more, you are welcome to apply. But if a household is firmly in the 31 to 50% range, they will not be eligible for additional assistance. Okay, again, it's a new application system, and so you will not see your tenant's application. You will just see what you submit. If a tenant is telling you they've applied, they can show you, they get an application, an email confirmation that they have completed the application. Okay, I personally, I'm not going to weigh in on whether you should, sorry, hold on, I'm getting myself lost in some of these. Okay. Okay, a
Alana,
business.
Yeah. Can I say something while you?
Yeah, thank you.
So because I see some of the other questions coming up for the water, so let me just address that. So I just wanted to briefly say that we can take, I see that people asking about Spanish speaking and also people who were denied previously and can't get the response as to why they were denied, and they trying. So our goal is to help everyone to get their application complete and processed and get the benefits out of the door. So if you have any issues with either you have a customer who is Spanish speaking or have issues reaching out to our office, please email us at ohep@montgomery-county-md.gov. I'll put that email once again in the chat for Office of Home and Energy program, but also for wastewater and water program, so that you can email us, because we have staff that checks this email daily, and we will respond to either if you have customer who is disabled or Spanish speaking and cannot, somehow communicate and, submit the application because of language barrier, disability, or anything else. So we will have our staff call the customer and take the application over the phone. We can do that. We can also email the customer, do whatever else we need to do. But please use this email to communicate with us. If you can get through our main line, which is 240-777-4450 for energy and water assistance, we will respond. And also, just briefly, I want to say that we are taking energy applications for this year only until June of this year. Then we're going to start taking new applications for the next year as of July 1st. So if you have customers that have not submitted any energy applications or heating for their heating assistance this year, please do so right now, because we're about to close for this year in June and start the new year as of July 1st. For water, the program continues. So if you have any customers who have not applied for water yet, you can continue to encourage them applying right now through the end of the year, which is December, actually, until this year. Okay, so that's all for me.
Okay, thank you. I've been answering, I encourage those who put the questions in Q&A. There's many of them that I've answered. I've typed out the answers, so please feel free to check the Q&A stream, whether you put in the question or whether it's a question someone else asked that you may benefit from that answer from. So it does keep on coming up. So I'm gonna reiterate again. It is one application per one registered account, and you need a unique email address for each registered account. So you are not doing one application per tenant. You are doing one application as your property. And you want to put in as many tenants as you feel are eligible. You want to put them in before the June 30th deadline. to apply as possible before you hit submit. And once you hit submit, you will not be able to add additional tenants or add documentation. Again, we will give a chance when we review the application for you or the tenant we will give an opportunity to supply any missing documentation, but the time that we give for you to do that is limited before we do need to move on. Okay, information needed as the landlord to submit. I don't think I've gone over that one again, so let me reiterate. As the landlord, you are submitting that proof of connection to the property and authority to be speaking on behalf of the property. I think there was a comment I saw as a business card. No, I'm sorry, but like anyone honestly can print a business card through any online sources. There needs to be something that shows that you have the authority to be speaking on behalf of the property. You will need not documentation, but you do need to have your CVRS registration information. If you do have a UEI number, you have that UEI number with you. Contact information, of course, for anyone who will should be speaking on behalf of the property. And then to support the tenant application, you want to have that rent ledger, copy of the lease if you have that, and then all of the tenant documentation. So all of their income documentation, proof of residency, if your ledger or lease does not go back past or prior to August 2021, you want to make sure you have proof of residency from your tenant. The income and eligibility certification form, you can find this on our website or within the application portal. It's a fillable PDF for your tenant to complete. And you want to make sure you get that tenant affidavit from each resident or tenant. And then there may be additional documentation, right? The tenant may have additional income documentation, bank statements, utility statements, other things that they want to include as part of their application. But as a minimum, you are looking for that income and eligibility, the tenant affidavit if you're completing the application on their behalf, residency documentation, and all the additional supporting income documentation, and then the specific rent documentation. Okay, income that's hard to verify. We do have that income eligibility certification form, letters from employers. You can use bank statements to show transactions coming in. Again, we do tax returns from the previous years or a categorical determination if they have been determined eligible for a income-based eligibility program anytime since January 1 of 2020. So we get that income is not always the easiest to define or to document, and so we will work with tenants to the best that we can. Reiterating again, yes, it is only one application per a unit. Maybe that's the right way to say it, right? Whether the tenant submits it or the landlord, we only need one application to represent that unit. And so if your tenant has already applied, you do not need to include them on yours. If you are including your tenant on your application, they do not need to do anything else separately. Okay, and I think somehow I magically caught up 2 minutes before we are supposed to end. I am sure that there will be additional questions that come up as you work through the application, as you work with your tenants to collect documentation. Please, if you have questions, you can reach out to us at hss@montgomerycountymd.gov. OHAP also, and let me just drop in the chat, I can drop our email address quickly. Okay, I'm going to make sure I did it right because one time I did it wrong and that caused even more confusion. So you can reach out to us. You can reach out to OHAP if you have questions on the water assistance or any of our electric and heating, gas assistance programs. Our goal here is really try to make sure that residents are able to stay in their homes, that you are able to provide the services that you intend to provide that are based on the rent that you expect to be collecting. So, collectively, we are all working together to try to close that loop and make that work. I thank, again, my partners at DHCA for making this time available for us. They will be posting the recording of this webinar on their website, so you will be able to view it there. And I encourage everyone, specifically for rent relief, please go to our website, mc311.com/rent relief. We have the instructional videos for completing your application, all the FAQs, and there's a landlord one, a tenant one, and all the supporting documentation there. So again, thank you so much for your time, and we will conclude our webinar now.